Alrighty, everyone, welcome back to an amazing, another exciting episode of the Willpower Zone. So I hope you get a lot out of our previous episodes. If you haven't got a chance to catch up, make sure to catch up on the previous episodes and everything. So today's topic for today is a good one. It's pretty much talking about love without any guarantees. So as we of course go into this new year, for a variety of people, especially really trying to figure out what are they going to do in terms of potentially maybe the love department. And for a lot of times, especially for a lot of people, that is an area where a lot of people are lacking or trying to find the ways in which they can find that true love for themselves, whether they're still looking for that particular mate or maybe just wanting to give that to themselves. So I want to break down a couple different things that will really kind of be able to unpack really what it really means to love without guarantees. Because for a lot of times and for a lot of people, they love with conditions and they don't know or don't understand why that's actually potentially leading them down a road where it's only temperamental type love, or whether it's that's either whether they're married or have a girlfriend, whatever it may be, whatever the situation may be, they are seeing themselves in a position where the love is just not long lasting, or it's ending up in a way that basically is just unfavorable. So let's hit on the first point, which is pretty much just overall just reflection of what that really means. So when it comes down to especially loving without guarantees, one of the things, especially as I reflect about what that really means, throughout my life, I've tried to pride myself on the fact of just saying, instead of me having certain types of conditions in terms of especially what I want out of life, or especially as far as love, from others, and from opportunities and a variety of different things. The biggest thing for me, I try to say, well, I want to be able to give all of who I am, and without any reservations or without any potential situations where I'm feeling as though I'm only doing things just to get, in order to give, to get. And that is just, something that only kind of lasts only for a certain period of time. And then when it runs out, then you get kind of upset or frustrated, and you say, oh, I spent all this money, I spent all this time and everything else, and then you did not reciprocate basically and give back to me. Now, I want you to kind of also understand too, you also don't need to be putting yourself in a situation where, let's say you're getting all the love, support, and everything else to another person, or to individuals, whether it's family or extended family, wherever it may need to be. But you don't need to put yourself in a position where you are basically, your cup is pretty much being drained out and pretty much you're on E, and you keep giving, and in many cases it's not being able to be, you're not being replenished from it. Now, I'm not saying especially that's what needs to be the aim for you, but you need to kind of understand, especially, you don't also need to put yourself in also abusive situations. You need to put yourself in more of kind of the replenishing and more so kind of the overwhelming wellspring of reciprocated love, support, and joy, and happiness, and everything else. So that would be kind of my insight, especially to kind of give you that advice in that particular area. So let's go into also the next thing, which is kind of a big one, and sometimes very, very hard for, look at that. All right, so one of the biggest things, especially that's really, really hard for a lot of people, especially us guys, and I would say specifically for me sometimes too, is really being able to embrace being vulnerable. So what does that look like? What does that mean? Well, having that ability to be able to embrace the vulnerability when it comes to love is so necessary, especially when it comes to your spouse or your girlfriend, or whoever that may be, your significant other. It doesn't really matter. You have to have the ability to be able to be vulnerable, to be able to be, I'm not going to even more so say weak, but more so especially to have those gentle moments, especially where, for instance, let's say, you went through, a period of time, especially, let's say, whether you lost a job or opportunity fell through, or you dealt with, of course, loss in the family, whatever it may need to be, especially for us guys, or anyone in general, especially for us, for you women as well. It's okay to be vulnerable, and sometimes it's tough to really be able to find that right person to be able to do that, and not feel as though that's going to be used against you, right? And so we know how hard it is, but be willing to do that, because the whole premise especially is just loving without any guarantees. So being able to kind of put those defenses down and understand, yes, there's going, or more so understand that there's going to be times when you are going to put yourself out there and maybe it doesn't work out the way that you want it to, but just realize being vulnerable is a strength, not a weakness. And it allows you to be able to be a full person. It allows you to be able to have the empathy, the understanding, the level of love and compassion that really is needed to really be able to feed your soul, feed your spirit in a sense, so that you could be more effective, especially to be able to give the type of love that actually continue to keep getting energy and keeps growing over time. So I encourage you, especially being able to have those vulnerable moments and be able to kind of speak up and communicate with your significant other, or just your family, or the ones that are close to you, your extended family. Be willing to be able to kind of say when something is hurting you or something that you're dealing with, and being able to be honest and open, because then what that does allows people to see that other side of you. And that just only allows you to be able to kind of have a lot more depth and to be able to connect with more and more people when you're able to do that. So let's also go over kind of the next thing, which is really just navigating kind of the uncertainties of life and everything. So with love, it's very interesting because it's such an interesting concept that should come naturally, but sometimes is not always kind of turns out in the way that we sometimes want to. So, when it comes to our relationships, when it comes to the relationships with our family, extended family, or significant other, whoever that may need to be, sometimes there's going to be uncertain things where there might be situations in terms of, opportunities, jobs, or a variety of different things, or just things that might be going on in the world. And, sometimes it may happen where, especially, because the, environment or circumstances may change, people's love may shift from one way to the other. And it's not more so because maybe you're doing something wrong. It's just maybe these things have changed. So, just understand more so that uncertainties in many cases when it comes to love and everything else is normal. And one of the ways to be able to kind of be able to navigate that is really just, having a firm grasp on who you are, what you're expecting, which really is being able to give that unconditional love without seeking anything in return. Because remember, when you're giving something with conditions or something in return, then that in many cases is like a contract, an agreement in many cases that you're looking to say, oh, I'm hoping to get paid back with this. But when you're giving without seeking something in return, that's true love, that's true unconditional love. So understand that these things are going to happen, and the best way to be able to navigate that is to just stay focused and be able to know that you're not going to lose anything. If you, of course, you give, and sometimes it's just not reciprocated, and it's okay. You're going to be fine. So other things also too. So talking about kind of just stories and and just different individuals that especially emulate that type of love and dedication to each other. So I'm proud to say, especially for my own life, especially my wife and I, we're going on 16 years being married, and we've known each other for over 20 some years. And is that always likely? Nowadays, not so much. But there are, of course, those examples that are out there. Whether it's in entertainment or in other different spaces. People who've been together for a period of time. One of the things, especially, my wife and I really pride ourselves on is just being able to love each other without trying to figure out, saying, oh, well, did you do this for me, or did you do that for me, and just trying to kind of that give and take type deal, or the tally up systems, like, oh, well, I'm not going to give you this if you didn't, let's say for me, oh, the honeydew list, oh, you really, have done your honeydew list, so, oh, I'm not going to get, make your favorite meal or anything like that. We don't do that to each other. So we have a kind of a, really, kind of light and fun and, and just, young in many cases relationship. We've been together for many, many years. We've gone through our ups and downs and throughout our time and everything. And but through all of that, we've really just been battle tested, and really we all come back to always the same thing, which is the fact of just how much we love and support one another, no matter what happens. And it really goes without saying, especially that, not being able to love each other, especially unconditionally, in its truest form, is the best way that we've been able to be together for a period of time, and we're going to be together for many years to come, because we have that understanding of one another that no matter how hard the situation may be, we can come together and be able to have those hard conversations without it basically cutting one another or making it worse off just because we're upset or frustrated or whatever else. We have to be able to speak to each other in a loving way, in a positive way, so then we can be able to thrive no matter what's going on. And then the other thing also too, especially, power of being present, especially when it comes to love. When you're a significant other, maybe when you're going out, or maybe we're just enjoying the, amazing view that's out there. It really doesn't matter. You got to be able to be present with, your significant other, whether that's your spouse, and also be able to enjoy that time, especially with your family and your loved ones and your, kids, if you have some. It doesn't matter if you don't. But I'm just saying, your extended family, be able to be in a position where you can accept that love and support, especially, and being present within the moment. Because if you can do that, then you're only going to be able to live life in such a totally different way that's going to be different than what most people are able to experience, because they can't be present. They're so either stuck in the past and all the other failed opportunities or failed situations, relationships, or whatever it may be. Especially, they may be stuck in it, or so caught up in the future. So guess what? They can't even be present because they're so caught up in the fact of the anxiety. Oh, what's going to happen tomorrow? Or is this going to work out for me? Or how long is this going to take? Especially, let's say you're the type of person, you're like, you're looking for that, significant other that's going to, in many cases, complete you. Well, I want to caution you on that. You need to be able to be the person that you need to be, full, 100%, so that the person that, of course, that may come along, they're not, in many cases, having to complete you, because we have to, of course, take responsibility for the things maybe that we're lacking in a certain area. We should be able to be okay and feel the love and support within us, because if that's exactly what we want to be able to acquire or be able to attract, we have to be that which we seek and desire, because if we're not, we're only going to get the opposite of that. So always kind of be mindful of that, especially when it comes to just being present, because there's so much power in being present. Because when you can do that, all the unique things and opportunities and just the spontaneous things that may come about, when you're present, then you get a chance to just live in that moment. And when you can do that over a period of time, love is just going to continue to keep pouring out on you. And the universe is going to reciprocate that and notice that. It'll say, oh, this person's not blocked. This person is open and willing and ready to receive. It's time to basically impart the things that this person is actually seeking. And then really the biggest thing, what I encourage all people to do, especially when it comes to self-love, because if you want to really see yourself grow, if you want to be able to attract that type of, significant other that you're looking for, the type of relationships or friendships, or the type of, family relationships that you're seeking and wanting, remember, everything starts with you. So you are, in many cases, the energy, the vibration, especially, that either repels or attracts the very things that it wants or desires. So, for instance, if you're the type of person that says, "Oh, I can't find, person that's going to love me and support me, especially as much as I would love them," or, my family especially is this way, and they don't support me, or whatever it is. So remember, these are beliefs and things that you've said to be truth. And remember, we're all creators, whether we understand that or not. So that's the type of message that you're sending out to the universe. And guess what it's going to give you? These very same things based on the beliefs and the perceptions that you have. So you want to make sure to be mindful and be able to heap on the self-love towards yourself. So that may require just being alone for maybe a period of time, and be able to love on yourself and be able to accept yourself in the fullest capacity. Because when you do that, and you can be able to be by yourself and be able to love and support yourself and take care of yourself and make sure that your cup is full, then guess what's going to happen? You're going to get more things beyond that that's going to continue to keep making things more abundant. So I say tune your frequency for the love and support that you're seeking, and trust me, in due time, you will see that happen for you. And trust me, I'll throw a story out there, especially. So my wife and I, we were first, we got together, and I moved, from Georgia, out to California and everything else, which, it's pretty much been my hometown since way back in, back in the 90s, especially when I was out there with my wife, when I was, of course, 12 and she was 11. When we were first starting out and everything, it truly was not easy. Navigating, especially having a job and everything in my early 20s, and we're trying to work to build things and support one another and everything else. And I wanted to be there for her and care for her. She, of course, she got sick and everything, and we had to go to the doctor and everything else. And unfortunately, I had to miss a day of work. And unfortunately, it's kind of the 3 strikes rule. So if you end up missing 3 or more days and everything else, then that's it. And I ended up getting that call saying, hey, unfortunately, we're gonna have to let you go and everything else. And I remember going in and getting my things and everything else. And it was just such a horrible situation. And unfortunately, especially because the man is seen as the provider, now I'm not in a position to be able to provide for my wife and be able to do all the things I want to be able to do for her. And unfortunately, especially when it comes to outside influence, they're going to say, oh, if he can't support you, then you should be with him. And that was kind of what we were dealing with in terms of our family and everything else. They were saying those very same things, and he was like, oh, maybe you guys can't do this, and just throwing on a bunch of doubt and disbelief and everything else. And it was kind of a very rocky situation, because we could have potentially split up and gone our separate ways and everything. But I just reminded her, I said, look, this is just a temporary situation. This is not going to be long lasting. I'm going to find another opportunity. Don't worry. And the most important thing for me was just making sure to look out for my wife and make sure that she was well, that she was taken care of, rather than just basically deciding just move forward and just go to work and act like it's nothing, that she's not in a position where she needs care and support, and just not care about her. I didn't want to do that, because I wasn't that type of person. We had too much history, and I'm just the type of person, I'm very considerate, and I really applying the principle, especially that I'm talking about today, which is just loving without any guarantees. And even if it didn't work out, I know that I gave exactly everything I had. And of course, we got together, we communicated, and we had a tearful moment and be able to say, you know what, we're going to kind of put aside and block out the outside noise from other people and everything else, and we're going to love each other and support each other unconditionally. So, and then of course, this is where we're at today. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode, because it's a big, big topic, and I want you to be able to have everything that you're owed, especially this year as we go into the Aquarian age, the golden age, which has all the love, joy, peace, and abundance that's out there for each and every single person. And I want you to recognize that, and I want you to be aware of that. So I hope you got a lot out of today, and be able to take some notes, and of course take what you learned and be able to apply it for this new year. So if you like what you heard, make sure to subscribe to, of course, our channel, especially on YouTube. And we're sponsored by LifeShift Media, and also especially if you're on Spotify or any other platforms like iTunes or anything like that, make sure to subscribe so you also get notified, especially when we have a new episode. But other than that, hope you have an awesome rest of the day, and we'll see you again for the Willpower Zone.